found AHO Radio. We're authentic human outliers coming together to help heal the fear of being authentic, to bring back genuine human conversation. No hype, no sensationalism, just honest talk about the critical issues affecting society, affecting humankind. And now, here are the hosts of AHO Radio, John Krotec and Bill Protzmann. Hey, John Krotec. I am here, honest and authentic, from the left coast of these United States, dude. I mean, it's getting weird out here. It's getting weird.
Well, I'm on the west coast of Florida, man, and I'm in the flow. You know, I'm trying to dispel any weirdness, you know, if I can do that. But it's good to see you, Bill Protzmann. Super excited to have today's guest on.
Oh my gosh! So
yeah,
I got to jump in on this.
I'm speechless. You know.
Yeah, I am too. I don't, you know, I'm sitting here trying to ask myself, how did I hear Sweetwater String Band for the first time? And it was one of those things where somebody told me. In fact, somebody told my wife, and she's like, "Bill, you got to hear this stuff." And I did, and it got into me. It just got into me. It's like the words are, it's like poetry got into me. And then of course the music, which is, we've played the song. It's got this roots to it. You know, it just feels like the real thing. Mm-hmm. And so I followed it all, you know, listened to it all, and learned about David, our guest today, David Huebner, and then Sweetwater went away. It's like, it's gone. What's happened? What's happened? And there's a new project, of course. Like musicians do this, they pivot. So we're going to get into all that. But John, I am so excited to be here today with David Huebner, who is one of the founding members of Sweetwater String Band and one of the co-founders of the 2 Tracks, which is why we're here. We're talking about an album drop that's going to happen August 14th. Great album called Cheers to Solitude. But let's like talk to David the man first. So David Huebner, welcome to AHO Radio.
Oh, thanks for having me.
You bet, man. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to do this with us.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you know, Sweetwater never goes away, Bill. I gotta correct you, man. Sweetwater is around forever. It's indelible, man. It's sealed in my mind. And you know, you referenced the song. We'll talk more with Dave about it, but the lyrics to that one song that I heard is just spectacular. And I can't wait to hear. You know, I can't wait to hear about his projects. But anyhow, welcome, Dave, and you're gracing us with your presence, man. So I feel really honored. I know Bill does too. So thank you.
Thank you, John.
People usually ask, like, tell me your story, but I want to look at that a little bit differently because, David, you've done so many pivots already in life.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I wanted to ask you, like, as an intro to the story, like, so you have an authentic voice, but how has that authentic voice, like, changed from where you began to where you are now? Like, put your story in the context of how your voice has changed and evolved and developed.
I mean, in a way, like my songwriting, in terms of that aspect of my voice, I guess, has been fairly consistent throughout. I mean, I have written about the natural world and wild places and, you know, political topics and things like that throughout my years as a songwriter. I think, you know, as my actual like voice, singing voice or whatever, I mean, I definitely started off pretty rough around the edges and just kind of, you know, hollering in from the outside at the late night jams or whatever. And then it kind of, you know, discovered that, okay, I don't have to quite sing like that. I can refine it a little bit and that there's a, you know, a nice like groove where it really works and a feel that it has. So I think you slowly get more confident over time, you know, with it. And
so
I mean, yeah,
one of your unique features, I mean, there are lots of multi-instrumentalists out there, but the thing that grabbed me about Sweetwater and about 2 Tracks is David Huebner, the cellist. How did that happen?
Well, that's an interesting story because I started, of course, playing classical music and taking cello lessons for 10 years as a kid. And my family was a musical family. My brother's a fantastic pianist. And by the end of high school, I had made the decision that I did not want to keep doing that, you know. So I was basically on the trajectory to go to to go to college for music, for classical music, and I just didn't want to do that. And I, quite honestly, I just wanted to be a ski bum and move to the mountains and not
Amen.
not do anything, But
Life would be great, man. That would be awesome.
yeah. So I did that, and my parents were pissed off, and everybody told me I was making a mistake, and I just quit the cello completely, and I moved to the mountains of California first, and then Telluride, Colorado for a winter, and then back to California. And pretty much all I did was climb peaks and ski in the backcountry and backpack and stuff like that for the next basically like 10 years. And during that time, I eventually picked up a guitar in about 2004, and I was living in a cabin in the woods and stuff, and started messing around on the guitar and started writing songs. And that kind of, then all of a sudden I fell into enjoying songwriting and realized, like, whoa, this is something I want to do. And didn't think the cello really had a place in it, because it just felt like, oh, you can play a guitar around a campfire. You can't really play a cello around a campfire, can you? And but sure enough, you can.
You can.
And I started doing that, but it was more from the encouragement of friends that said, you should really get that cello out and just try it. Just try to play along with some of the stuff. Just give it a shot. And so I was very thankful to have accommodating friends that let me, sit in and play along with some of their bands at the time and different stuff real casually and kind of figure it out. And I just sort of started to figure out how the cello worked and that kind of stuff. And of course, Sweetwater String Band was like the first group that I was in where I really like used it, all the time. I mean, I had a band before that called Old Coyote Moon that where I would occasionally pick it up and we would do a jam with the cello, but Sweetwater String Band, I just played cello. And so that, I kind of learned how to do it playing with those guys.
So you get your start in classical, and with an instrument that, just thinking about you and what you said about not wanting to go that direction and then eventually pick up the guitar, and this whole process of Dave Huebner and where you're at now, tell us a little bit about your influences musically, to be into the string band, but tell us about that process of being a poet, because you're a musical poet. I've heard your lyrics. Tell us a little bit about that process, how it goes from your brain to your heart to your instrument and out again, for anybody out there that's interested in that process.
Right. Well, I mean, I think for me, I've always been a writer. And so I think when I discovered, somewhat accidentally, that by picking up the guitar that I could be a writer, but set it to music, and then that just was kind of like a big moment and an exciting moment, because I had written poetry and I had written various short stories and different things. And so now all of a sudden I found like a new vehicle for it, and I mean, I think, for me, it just comes from a desire to write about the experiences that I'm having, or the places where I'm at, or issues that are going on in the world. I just want to, have always wanted to write about that in a poetic manner or some sort of manner that reaches people. And I've found that, I think for me, songwriting is probably my best vehicle for that, and the cello was kind of interesting because, like I said, I had put it down and didn't think it had its place. And then when I rediscovered it, it was kind of equally as like mind-blowing of a moment as discovering songwriting, because I already knew how to play it. And all of a sudden it was like picking up an instrument for the first time and you already know how to play it.
Awesome.
It was like, whoa, wait, I can do this in bluegrass. I can do this in like jam bands or whatever, I can do this. Okay. And so it's just kind of a channeling those different creative impulses, I guess.
So do you remember the moment that you like discovered songwriting?
I do, yeah. I mean, I had a friend's guitar, and I just started messing around on it, and I don't know if somebody showed me the two chords like G and C, or if I just looked them up on a chord chart book or something. And but literally, I learned two chords on the guitar, and then I wrote a song,
Whoa.
to go with it, because I was just like, well, this is cool. I can play these two chords back and forth and write a song. And
What was the song? What was the name of it, Dave?
gosh, I was just thinking that I still remember it sometimes.
Or you
Don't
didn't
worry.
name it. You just remember
Yeah.
it.
We're not going to make you sing it.
It's it's not too far off of a song like Beautiful or something like that. It's
Nice.
a very simple poetic song about nature of some sort.
Yeah, when you live in it, it kind of
What
gets
I do.
into you.
Well, and that's that universal language that Bill and I talk a lot about. I can't play the guitar worth a darn. I'd never played a musical instrument in my life, and then picked one up a couple of years ago, and I'm having just a lot of fun with it now. But there's a lot going on. We smoke and we joke about it, but there's a lot going on in the world today, which is a major understatement. But, you as a musician and as a songwriter and a performer and actually a team member on a band, how can music connect us in light of all of that's going on today? How can, tell us about that vehicle in your own words.
Well, I mean, it is a hard world to navigate right now, and it is a hard world to stay connected with certain people, I guess. And I think music, what I've always strive for with music is to express the universal elements of any struggle. So like, if you look back through some of the stuff that I wrote with Sweetwater String Band or other songs, there's political themes in there, and they may even sound fairly straightforward and harsh or something, but the idea is that if you're listening to it with an open mind, you may not know which side of the line I'm coming from. The idea is to really bring us together by reminding us that there is a central struggle here that we probably all agree with more than we disagree with. But if you avoid putting those certain trigger kind of labels on it that make people go, oh, you're a this, or oh, you're a that, and you just focus on like the central common human struggle, then I feel like my goal has always been to try to be inclusive with that stuff with music, and to make a universal pitch kind of, like I have a song called Working Man's Blues that's like got a universal sort of pitch to the working man's struggle, right? And I'd like to think that you can't tell exactly which side of the spectrum it might be coming from, but these days it is getting so divided, it is getting a bit challenging.
Yeah.
What you said finally made me aware of the power of the music, and it also helped me answer the question, like, why bluegrass? I'm going to use an overarching term here,
Right.
but why roots music? Like the root of it is the simplicity of the struggle, and the beauty of the struggle, and I get both of those things now. You're talking about how the music has like this political sort of overarching thing to it, but I didn't see that in terms of like political parties. I saw that in terms of like us together, all of us walking through the crazy,
Right.
in some kind of unity. And maybe it's just, who I forget who it said, but we're all unified by our pain, right? We all experience sadness and joy and fear and anger together. And that was the sense that I got it in, not in a vote for me kind of sense, but in a working man's blues, like in the struggle
Right.
to make a living, and in the beauty of life, the simple beauty of life. And that it just so comes through. Man, okay, so I'm going to get off my soapbox.
No, it's a great point, because I've got to tell you, Dave, you've just changed my whole. Here I am, going into my 60th decade, right? And been listening to all kinds of music from early on. But I got to tell you, man, you have changed. You said come to music with an open mind, right? and look for that universal element of the common struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I mean, so everybody that writes, well, maybe not everybody, but most people that write music, I would assume, are trying to make that connection.
I think so. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Who influenced you as a writer? Yourself or who?
Oh, well, a lot of, I mean, I have a lot of the main, the usual suspects, Bob Dylan and,
Yeah.
Townes Van Zandt. But I mean, the list is always like so long, and it's hard to know who to say is the most influential, really. But those, I was, I guess most inspired to get into it by the folk singers and writers of the 60s for sure. And that whole idea from that era that you could change the world with a song, and so I think while that I don't, we could debate whether that's still the case, but because there's so many songs out there now, but but I think I still write from that kind of source of inspiration that, maybe if I get this song just right, it'll affect people and make a difference,
Do you have a song that, well, do you have a song that you're really proud of that we could listen to, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's trying to think of anything else off this new album. There's a song, gosh, which one to pick? I guess it's Too Easy would be another good one off the new album that we could listen to. It's kind of, I wrote it at a friend's place on the foot of the mountains in the Sierra Nevada, and I think it kind of ties in with what we're talking about, the common struggles and common thoughts, and it's kind of just about how a dirt road can kind of bring you back.
Your technical guy is scrambling to try to get something working.
No, I knew that. See, I dropped the time. I think Bill's on this,
throw a curveball. Yeah,
I love the title. It's Too Easy. I love the title, so I'm already intrigued to hear it. Just the title, has got me wanting to listen.
So what is Too Easy?
I guess what's too easy is a lot of things, right? It's too easy to argue about stuff that doesn't matter. It's too easy. It's also when you realize like how good you have it, you're like, wow, it's too easy, and so kind of on both sides, it sort of, the
It's
meaning
awesome,
kind of
man.
jumps around in the song a little bit in that regard.
I'm working on it, you guys.
No, I absolutely love that because, you're probably really the first musician that I've really even had the pleasure of interviewing. I know that we've talked to lots of other folks, but you're a guy that, that's, Bill and I talked about, he shared your song, and I didn't know anything about the Sweetwater String Band. And after that, I was mesmerized. And so
Nice.
hence the reason I got the flow behind me. And I just, I get inspired by genuine, authentic people, which is one reason why we're even doing this. And we need to connect the dots. There are a lot of songs, but there's only one Sweetwater String Band, and there's only one David Huebner. And so that in and of itself is a mathematical, it's just, beyond all the probabilities of life, to have you here is a magical thing within itself. And people, well, that's kind of woo-woo, but no, it's real.
Right.
And it's too easy. And I can't wait. Did you find it?
It's taking forever because my computer's so slow. But I'll follow the question up because I want to ask: is this a Sweetwater or a 2-tracks project?
This is the 2 tracks. Yeah, this is off the new album. Yeah.
Okay, so while we wait for Spotify, how did the pivot happen for you? Like there was some time, right, between the 2 projects?
Yeah. So basically, I moved to Wyoming and met Julie and joined the 2 tracks and was kind of doing both projects at the same time for a while, and just couldn't really, at a certain point, couldn't keep traveling for the Sweetwater tours and take care of stuff at home and play the 2-track stuff. And it just became, it got to be just too much. And, you know, it's like if in a perfect world you could do both, but there just wasn't really like a, you know, the financial side of it just wasn't there, you know. It was, you know, it just doesn't, it's really hard for independent musicians and independent bands to really like make much in the way of actual money, you know.
Yeah.
Most of them are just out there because you make enough to do it, but you're not necessarily, you know, when the van breaks down, you're like, oh great, now what?
The love of the muse, I think.
Yeah.
You know, but that's interesting to know, because there's a lot of bands out there that do that. But, you know, as you progress in your profession, which you definitely have done well, and you continue to have these ideas, you know, it reflects. And that's why I'm so excited to just hear authentic music from the root. And
right.
So you're originally from California, and then you made it to Colorado and then to Wyoming. Is that how it happened, Dave?
Yeah, I'm originally from California, so I was there for you know, all through growing up, and then I lived in the Eastern Sierra of California for like 15 years, and then moved to Wyoming about 6 years ago, and was living in Laramie, and then moved up here to Sheridan, and met Julie at a music festival, and she asked me to record some cello on the first 2-tracks album. And so originally it kind of started as just a recording, you know, recording project. And so I was like, okay, great. And went up and recorded cello on that first album, and then all the harmony vocals on that first album. And then just, we all really had a blast in the studio. And so just decided to join the band, and it was really great to like, it's great to have a band where we all actually live in the same town. And so we can all really, you know, rehearse and practice our craft. And I was also intrigued by the opportunity to play lead guitar on some songs. So that was a fun little treat for me.
So from 2 chords to lead now.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did that all evolve?
Well, a lot of patience, I guess, from the listener. But
yeah,
you know, I don't know. I guess I love playing guitar, and so I've just kind of, you know, kept working on it. And you know, I don't consider myself an amazing player by any means, but I think I at least have a decent ear for what the song needs, and can try to find the melody and play the melody for the song, you know. So,
well, you said the proverbial word, man. You said the word patience.
Yeah.
And, you know, musicians probably that hear it in their mind like you do, probably it takes you a while to learn that. And that's where it comes out. And, you know, anybody watching us, you know, and listening to Dave's story, I guess you can't say enough about patience, can you?
Right. Yeah. And you have to have it with being a musician in so many different ways. I mean, you have to have patience with the long drives, patience with the, you know, just all of the hassles on the road, patience with your career, because it might take 10 years for anybody to care, you know, patience with all that stuff. So,
do you have a mantra that you live by?
Well, I guess, yeah. There's a line from I don't know if it's really directly from the Dalai Lama or if it was made up or what, but I've always stuck by, if you can do something about it, it's not worth worrying about, and if you can't do anything about it, it's not worth worrying about. So
yeah,
that kind of tackles everything.
It does. I mean, yeah, it's too easy. Yeah. You know, and so how many songs are on the album coming out? How many songs?
Oh yeah. So tell us about the new album while we're still looking at it.
Yeah,
it's called Cheers to Solitude.
Yeah.
Which is so appropriate, like right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's coming out soon here, August 14th, and there's 10 songs on there, and The title actually comes from a song that Julie wrote, and it's really more about people confronting depression and that kind of aspect of life. And then as we recorded it, and all this stuff takes time before it comes out. Then COVID happened, and it was just, we had already named the album and everything, and it was like, wow, well, this is like really perfect fit for what's going on right now.
Really
And
prescient.
yeah, and so we're lucky enough to get to work with a guy by the name of Will Kimbrough, who lives in Nashville, and fantastic producer. He has produced albums for like Todd Snyder and Rodney Crowell, and he's co-written a bunch of stuff with different people, and he's just a great guy, really easy to work with. And so over the course of 5 days, we tracked these 10 songs, and we did it at a place called the Butcher Shop, which has unfortunately had to close in the last couple months because they're redeveloping the property. But it's a historic studio in Nashville that Sturgill Simpson recorded A Sailor's Guide to Earth there, and a bunch of Traveling McCurry's recorded their album there. We feel really privileged to have been able to work with some great people putting this album together. There's a wonderful lady by the name of Trina Shoemaker that mixed it, and she got kind of her big break producing Sheryl Crow's Globe Sessions, I believe it was, and years ago. And so she's just, what she did mixing the album was just like magic. And we're just really proud of it. I feel like we are progressing, and that is the goal with music. Is to just keep putting out better and better music, and a better and better album every time.
Hey, tell us about Julie and the rest of the band. Like, who's in it, and where are they from, and just an overview.
Yeah, so Julie's my partner. She's from Missouri originally, and she moved out here years ago for archaeology work, and has stayed in Sheridan, and great songwriter. She wrote all the songs on the debut album. And then we've got Taylor Phillips, who plays bass, and he's born and raised here in Sheridan, and great singer and guitar player too, and does a fantastic job on the bass. And then we've got Fernando Cerna on the drums, and he's a well-known character here in Wyoming as far as drummers go. I feel like drummers and bass players are always a little bit in short supply, so people know Fred Cerna here in Wyoming, and he's been playing music, born and raised in this area for a long time, and got his start playing in Mexican bands up in Billings and around Sheridan, and it's really a great story. His parents really encouraged him to get out and play the drums. Even when he was too young to order a beer at the bar, they'd let him go play a show, and it was pretty cool, that he's able to keep doing it. And we feel very, very lucky to have such a good band. We're all like-minded people. We all travel well together.
So somebody out there that's looking for a band to play in, what advice could you give them, when they're out there looking?
Well, I mean, it's really hard right now, I imagine, but you go to open mics, put yourself out there, go to jams, go to live concerts, just try to meet the other local musicians that are in the town where you live, and hopefully you can make that connection.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Which of course is like really hard now because
Right? Lockdown.
That's a lockdown.
Yeah, there's not much in the way of shows going on, and depending on your comfortability with it, you're not going even if there are shows. So
yeah, it's definitely an interesting time for all. We don't realize, like you were saying, taking things for granted. We don't really realize how things like this affects every portion of people's lives. And I can't think of a better way to, based on what you've said, David, a better way to bring us together, but through the power and the influence of music. And, again, I'll keep going back to beautiful, what I heard. And when you get that close to the lyrics and you really start to dissect them as a listener, makes me realize that, and anybody listening really, that none of us are alone.
Right.
And if we look below the surface, we'll see something even more interesting, if you will. And thank you for saying that about coming to music with an open mind. I'll say it again, because that's pretty good instruction. That's good. That's good advice. Yeah. You know, and not sealing ourselves off from this thing we call humanity, and finding a little bit of common ground.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. There's a common thread there. And I do think most songwriters are trying to tap that common thread, you know?
Yep. You know, Bill's looking for the song "It's Too Easy," and obviously this technical world's not too easy. You know?
Well, it's not released yet. So
that's why I found it on like a Spanish Amazon site.
That's hilarious.
Isn't that crazy?
That is hilarious, man.
So we may just link it in like to the show notes later on, but I'll keep looking around here as we keep.
Maybe
talking.
There's one we can hear though. Maybe there's one we can find.
I've got a link on that I can share to you.
Put it in the chat.
Yeah.
And we can try to go from there.
Yeah. If I oops, no, I don't want to do that.
Give us all your intellectual property. We'll take it. No.
Yeah.
Just joking, man. Just joking.
Yeah. There you go.
So August 14th, the album has sort of been dropping EP by EP. It's like song by song as we creep up on the actual release date. And I've been blown away. Of course, I listened to Beautiful. And then, oh my gosh, All Women Are Healers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, it's a great song.
Knocked me over. And, you know, there's a lot of truth in this music. It's just so... It just gets right in there, right on the, right on you, right where it counts.
Yeah, Julie's a great songwriter. That was a big kind of part of joining the band. Is I am always very critical of lyrics, and it was the same way with what I loved about Sweetwater String Band too. You know, I loved Scott Roberts' songwriting in that group a lot, and then when I met Julie, it was like, wow, here's another fabulous songwriter. You know, I want to work with this person. And so yeah, that song's always been a favorite since the day she wrote it. So
yeah, it just
we have fun playing that.
Goes right to the heart.
Now it's one where I get to play the lead electric guitar, so that's kind of fun.
That's cool, man. You know, women are ultimate healers. You know, the guys try to be the fixers.
Yeah.
And you know, we have our place, right? But without the feminine touch, you know, nobody gets healed, man. And you know, if we need more of that in today's world for sure.
Seriously, that was part of it for me. So I've actually got this. You want to spin it and see what happens?
Sure.
Give me a thumbs up or something if you can hear it. Make sure I'm sharing properly. Here we go.
Oh yeah.
Right on. It's too easy.
Wind blowing through the same old trees. We sit and talk about the same old needs. No need to fight, no need to disagree. Oh, it's too easy. Feeling down and I'm feeling beat. You tell me to be proud, you tell me to sing. I may never find the words to describe what it means. Oh, it's too easy. Sundown and a purple sky. We all want to live with an easy mind. Not worried, not afraid of the passing time. There is a dirt road, get me there just fine. There is a dirt road, get me there just fine. Bear walks down the same old road. Follows the seasons, follows the cold. Nothing to buy, nothing sold. Oh, it's too easy. Sundown and a purple sky. We all want to live with an easy mind. Not worried, not afraid dusty backpack, where the wildness within can walk that wild empty path. Oh, it's too easy. Sundown and a purple sky, we all want to live with an easy mind, not worried, not afraid of the passing time. There is a dirt road, get me there just fine. There is a dirt road, get me there just fine. There is a dirt road, get me there just fine. There is a dirt road, get me there just fine. There is a dirt road.
Yeah, man. Awesome. I'm going to be humming that the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is a dirt road.
It'll get stuck in your head. Yeah.
How did you hit that? How did you come up with that line? You know?
That was one of those songs that just kind of flew out, sort of like beautiful, I guess. I was staying at a friend's property up on a dirt road in Sierra, and just kind of described some of the scenes of where I was at that time, and I don't know, lines just pop out of your head sometimes.
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah.
For that magical moment, I would give anything, but you just grab them before they stop, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you feel the inspiration, sometimes you can kind of feel that, it's there, and so you just got to get a pen and paper out and start writing.
It's a rip in time, that people can relate to. I pictured the purple, sunset and the dirt road. I mean, how many dirt roads have we looked down?
Right. Yeah.
I wondered, where does that dirt road go? And it's got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So I love it, man. That's really powerful stuff. And that's solid music, man. And I, I'm a listener more than I am a practitioner, but man, that's the kind of music that's about as real as it gets. And, that's what I was saying to Bill about beautiful. It rankles the soul, man.
Yeah.
It touches you in a way that if you come to that with an open mind, you are going to explode your mind.
Right.
And that's pretty cool. Thank you for blessing us with that.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
So that's It's Too Easy drops on August 14th with the album Cheers to Solitude by the Two Tracks.
Sweetness, man.
Yeah, I mean, this is good stuff. Unreleased, by the way, so you heard it here first.
Yeah,
or if you'd heard already.
So how can they get that album, and how can they find out more, David, about what you guys and gals are doing?
Well, the band has social media accounts and everything. So there's the two tracks on Facebook and on Twitter and Instagram and all that. We have a website too with all the new singles on it and some videos and stuff like that. So the2tracks.com is our web presence.
That's creative.
Yeah. Totally. I mean, when you're picking a band name, half of the challenge is finding a .com that's still available.
I'm telling you, man, it's rough. It's rough. You got to jump while the getting's good, and that's really cool, man. Great work. Super excited to.
So the dirt road, just
all of them.
It called up that image of two roads that diverge in the woods, right? And you choose the one less traveled by. Have you ever felt like you had to make a tough choice, or was it just always pulling you, David? Which one?
Well, definitely had to make some tough choices, I would say. I mean, I guess quitting classical music years ago was, I mean, there was some toughness about it, but I guess I knew that I wanted to do. But then probably having to make the decision to just focus on one band was a really tough choice. That was like probably the hardest thing I've had to do musically, was just having to realize that I can't do everything that I want to do. I can't play in this band and this band or this. I got to focus on one project and make it as good as I possibly can. And
what's the future for y'all? What's the future for you, Dave? Where do you see yourself?
Yeah, if you could choose that road, what would you choose?
Well, we're on a good road. I'd love to see more people discovering the music, because I feel like kind of like you guys, when they're given the opportunity to listen to it, it speaks to a lot of people. And so we had a great summer booked. We were going to be busy right now. So hopefully if we can get our act together here, we can be back on the road next summer and be able to, you know, keep on the road that we're on, you know, and just don't have any grand aspirations of being tremendously famous, because I think that's pretty impossible. But would just love to have more people know the music, you know, and we would love to see it be a little more self-sustaining. You know, it's definitely a labor of love at this point. So,
yeah, that comes through.
yeah,
It's tough, I think, to keep the balance between what you have to do to earn a living and what you have to do to come from your heart, because the temptation is to go for the popular,
right?
Instead of staying with what's inside you. And both the projects that I've heard you in seem to come from the heart, and just offering that to people who get it.
Right. Yeah. And then we've had some great festival experiences where I think, you know, at a music festival, if you're at the certain ones, you know, it's a crowd of people that are like totally in line with what you're doing, you know. And Kate Wolf Music Festival was one of those. The Albino Skunk Music Festival in South Carolina was one of those.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, the Sioux River Folk Festival in Sioux Falls was one of those where we didn't necessarily know going into it. We might have hoped or thought like, well, I think this is going to be our people to play for, you know, and then we get up there and we have a fantastic festival experience, you know, because there's hundreds of people that have never heard your music that immediately fall in love with it and are like pushing that energy back at you. And that is something we're missing this summer. So,
well, you know, tell us about, I love that you just mentioned the word love, and, you know, you're actually churning love. So, you know, tell us about the love. Just tell us about love and what it means to you and your music. And, you know, because we know that love overcomes everything. We're told that.
Yeah, I guess, you know, in the musical realm, you feel it the most when, I mean, it's a two-way thing. Performing live is, you know, is as much about the audience's sort of reaction and feedback as it is about what you're putting out. And so when the two go together, it just becomes this symbiotic, like, you know, show that is incredible, you know, because you're as the performer, you're feeling the love coming back at you. And then it's like, all of a sudden you're just like confident, you know, it's an injection of confidence that then makes the music that much better, because you relax and you maybe let things out that, you know, you might not if you didn't know whether the crowd was liking it or not. You know.
Yeah.
Like it you know, when you feel that connection with the audience, it's pretty magical.
This is kind of a tough question, but I'll ask it, and I'll only ask it because I've been there. I know what it feels like when you've got a hater in the audience. And in some ways, it's kind of a blessing to not be performing right now, because, you know,
Right.
you put out this great stuff, and then somebody who's, you know, not supposed to be there jumps up. But how do you personally respond to that, like in your heart? And then what do you offer back if you have an opportunity?
It is hard. I mean, you know, you have those magical moments where people support the music and love it, and then you have those moments where they're just like, yeah, you know, nice job, but not for me, you know. And that, I mean, there's a reason that they talk about, a lot of people are talking about mental health in the music industry and the creative professions, and it's because it is hard. It's a roller coaster. I mean, it is, you know, you're on cloud nine one day, and then the next day you're playing for 5 people at some dump somewhere and nobody cares, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, or you're putting out all this effort and all this work and all this time and soul into an album, and then you're like, wow, it got 5 streams on Spotify, you know, or whatever, and you're just like, damn, what do I need to do to, I mean, we've talked about it with our other musician friends that are putting out albums and stuff. And it is a hard thing, you have to try to balance out that roller coaster in your own way. And some people can do it. And then we lose musicians, because it wears them down, and then something happens, I mean, it's
our
not
job
an easy deal.
We have to be unafraid of emotion, right?
Right.
And it's like impossible to be unafraid of emotion when you're on stage and when you're in real life.
Yeah.
That just pulls you in two different directions, and coping with that, or finding the skills to deal with that, or it goes beyond the art in some way. For me, I feel that. But so what external things can people do, musicians or creatives or not, just like regular people? Listen to music. I mean, when I need to remember that life is beautiful, you know where my go-to is, right?
There you go.
But the average bear, how does that kind of person find some balance and still stay true to themselves in this craziness today?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to find your own sort of your own like happy place, and you have to remember to take care of that place, whatever that is, and remember to take the time to actually cultivate it and keep it there, because like if you focus too much on the other stuff and you don't remember to just like push everything else away every once in a while, then I think you can lose that. You can lose like your happy place. And so one good thing about like this summer, for me, that my kind of that regrounding and that safe places, like going in the in the backcountry or going to Baja or something, getting away, unplugging, getting off the grid. And so this summer, I feel like has been regrounding, because we're doing a ton of backpacking, and we're getting away. We normally would be busy traveling and being on the road, and I'd be booking and dealing with logistics and all that kind of stuff all summer. And this summer, we're about to head out on a 7-day backpack trip, and kind of really, it's our version of an album release tour, I guess.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So and probably the biggest global reset in all of our lives. Right. What I'm hearing from you, David, is it's time for all of us to really seek that balance. Kind of like, what's that song that we all know, "The Long and Winding Road"? I think that's a Beatles ballad, right? And thank you for reminding me and the listeners and Bill and I, about those things, to self-care and to go back to our roots, and to individually reset. And I think if everybody takes that into consideration, I think that it can really expand out there, that's pretty cool advice. And it's nice to hear it coming from you, because now it gives us, the listeners to y'all's music, a chance to find the foundation of what it's all about. Looking forward to the album release for sure.
Yeah.
You're going to do any kind of like live stream that day, or people can?
Yeah, we've been talking about it. Yeah, I think we may end up just setting up the band in our driveway or something and doing one of those kind of neighborhood.
That would be cool,
concerts,
man.
Beautiful.
And just put a phone up and play for our neighbors,
For folks who want to support you, buying the album, of course, but any other ways that we can engage you on Patreon, that kind of thing?
We aren't on Patreon, not yet anyway. I mean, really the best way is to just, what helps us right now is, following us on the social medias and certainly downloading the music rather than just streaming it. But hey, give us a like on Spotify too. It's like we're musicians are kind of we take everything we can get. Any kind of just sharing the music, sharing a track, sharing a video, saying, hey, this band's great, check them out.
Sure.
Like
helps. I found you. Somebody told me. I mean, I could probably figure it out. Who told Rebecca? That told me.
Right.
Just take it all the way back to where somebody was at a live concert or something, right? And
totally.
Well, we're going to do our part here on AHO Radio. I can tell you, I'm super excited to hear the album and to hear more. we've had Dave Huebner here of Two Tracks band. He's living out in Wyoming now. He's doing some killer work with his band, and you know, his Sweetwater String Band is doing. They're still out there. They're not going away. You know, the music's still there. But you've taught me some things, and you know, I'm forever open-minded now. Every time I hear music, and I never heard it voiced like that before, David. About universal elements of struggle is what's in your songwriting, and just you know, Bill and I thank you very much for being here. If you want to stick around after we close out, you know, we can trade some notes further. And I just want you to know from the bottom of my heart, and I know Bill's heart is very much the same, we appreciate you, man, a lot.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, Dave.
Yeah,
thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of AHO Radio. Information we mentioned is probably in the show notes, but if we missed anything, please let us know and we'll get it added for you. Subscribe to the AHO Radio channel on YouTube to stay connected, and as always, we wish you health, success, and significance. AHO!